Hello, I think we're live for episode number 33. And today, March 1st, 2021, we are talking about change. And if you are one of those people, or maybe you have a friend that has trouble with change, resisting change, getting frustrated by it, refusing to do it, then we're glad that you're joining us today because we're going to talk about how the emotion code can help you allow the flow of change, accept change, and be welcoming to the opportunities.
Absolutely. So I'm Amber Salambier of Knots Untied Within, and I'm joined by my beautiful co-host, Holly Pitas of Get Feeling Better. And we are both emotion code practitioners, as well as I'm a certified body code practitioner, and Holly is in her certification period. And what are we doing? Why are we here? Well, we both studied the emotion code under Dr. Bradley Nelson. And it's a book that anyone can buy and learn how to muscle test and release your own emotions in pretty much every aspect and area of your life. And so Holly and I get together on Mondays to, pick a different topic and help people release whatever emotional discomforts that they have, whether it's physical pain, whether it's a resistance or fear. Last month we did relationships. And this month we're talking about change. So if you are any, like I used to be, where, change was scary, right? We've all had different experiences with change, and that's that fear of the unknown, right? Maybe I'm going to, I don't like my job, but, I'm afraid of finding a new one, and we make all these different excuses as to, oh, I'm not motivated enough. Oh, I'm procrastinating. Oh, nothing is going to happen. But at the root of them all are two things: emotions and limiting beliefs, and they go hand in hand. And then you keep yourself stuck in this box like I used to. And what happens in the box? Nothing. And that's comfortable for a period of time. But look at all the things that you're missing out on by staying in the box. You're missing out on new relationships, new friendships, new, coworker relationships. You're missing out on learning new things. You're missing out on opportunities and adventures that never would happen if you stay in the box. And I've spent most of my life living in a box because those were my limiting beliefs that it is what it is, and all I can see is right here. And it wasn't until I got a really good kick in the butt it said, okay, so time to change things up, because staying in that box isn't doing you any good, that I've allowed myself to expand and to grow and to meet amazing other practitioners and this awesome modality that can help people. And it never would have been unless I got myself out of that box and allowed myself to, for the first time, I'm setting goals and having dreams and, setting all of these things up so that I can have the best life possible, as opposed to staying in that box. So we would like to do the same for you.
Yes. And so if you're not familiar with the emotion code, there are some really simple steps that are available to you. And so one of the first things that we do is we work actually through this emotion code chart that was developed by Dr. Nelson, and it identifies 60 different emotions that you can have trapped in you from any kind of event that you've had in your life. And that could be a real event. It could be something that you overheard. It could be something that you saw on TV or read in a book. And for some reason, it just sort of latched onto you, and it's still kind of stuck in your energy system. And then additionally, what we do is we have this entire flow chart of information that we go through in terms of trying to decipher which of these emotions has gotten stuck. And so what Amber and I do is we work through the different elements of the code. And so again, so what we do is we everything is based on whatever your problem is. So what you want to do is be able to start with your problem And so what is that? Today we're talking about change. And so when you start thinking about change, you're either going to, start having some sort of physical reaction to it. Like, well, I can't go and apply for that new job right now because I've got my headache, or I have that pain in my back, or, I'm afraid to pick up the phone. So is it fear? Is it resistance? Is it a distractive pain that you have? Is it some other way of procrastinating? And so by identifying what that is, that's a place to start. Then additionally, what we do, I have all of my little cards here. Let me pull some more of them out because they're just kind of fun. So what we will do is we're going to ask you to give your permission. And so all you have to do is type in the comments yes, or if you type your name, it's just an implied permission. And then we would like to have a severity level. So tell us on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is this bothering you? How afraid are you to pick up the phone? How dissatisfied are you with your job or your relationship or your apartment, and you're still not taking action to go ahead and make some changes? And then once we have your permission, we're able to work with you over a distance by proxy. And so what that means is you've given us your permission to stand in your place, and we're able to go through our chart of emotions and the flow chart of asking questions. We can ask of ourselves, and these are simply, they're not revealing questions. We're not going to invade your personal space or anything. With your permission, we have the ability to ask these yes or no questions. And it's a simple, do I have a trapped emotion that's stopping me from picking up the phone? And the answer is yes or no. And if it's yes, which it probably is, we're going to go into our chart of emotions again and say, well, is it something on this chart? And is it on the left side of the chart or the right side of the chart? And so it's just this simple sequence of questions that will help us zero in on what that trapped emotion is. Once we identify it, and we're using some kinesthetic muscle testing, I'll go into that in a moment. I'll go into it separately. So once that particular emotion is identified, it wants to be recognized and acknowledged, then we're going to be able to release it. It comes up into our energy body, and then what we do is sort of reset that energy using some magnets or just the electromagnetic power of your hand. And we release it by going over the governing meridian, and it just sort of resets the emotions. I know it can sound sort of fantastic if it is the first time that you're hearing it. And it's really, until you experience it, you don't realize how simple it is. And what it does is that it doesn't suddenly make you bold. It doesn't make you go wild or anything. It's like, okay, I've been thinking about the job. I've got a place I want to, I think I'll give them a call. And it just works beautifully. Although we're talking about change and we're using these examples, some other changes that people maybe want to have is changing their diet. That could be giving up foods that are not good for you, but you're still really attracted to them. It could be like potato chips and dip, or too many French fries, or too much ice cream, what have you. And that's another kind of a quick and easy one to demonstrate, is that if you are reaching for these chips, we are able to essentially just like delete the food for you. And what happens is the food just is no longer attractive to you. You can eat the potato chip and you think, yeah, I can do without this. It doesn't make you dislike it. It doesn't make you, get sick to your stomach if you eat it. It's just no longer attractive. And so there are a lot of incredible things that the emotion code can do for you. So thanks for being able to be a volunteer for us today. I'm going to let Amber see if she's got anybody joining on her end.
We've got Sandra saying, good morning, ladies. She would like to volunteer. She's scared of change and struggling adjusting to change. Lauren says, hi, ladies. Eva says, hello. Lauren would like to release the resistance to legalizing her business. And Eva would like to help with removing my blocks to clearing clutter. she seems to have a fear around removing it.
Okay, well, so I would be happy to work with Lauren. So she wants to go ahead with doing the next legalizing steps for her business.
Yeah, resistance to legalizing her business. Yep.
Okay, so that's also kind of a fear of moving forward, fear of perfection, I would think. Sometimes you want to make sure you're doing everything right. And then it's also kind of that fear of success, because once you have all of those blocks removed, or your I's dotted and your T's crossed, it's like, all right, so now I'm in business, then there's nothing stopping me except for myself. So I'm going to take a little sip of water here, and then Lauren, if you're able to do the same, that would be fantastic. Water is an incredibly important part of the process. We have to make sure that we are really well hydrated so that we can have our energy flowing. And now I will very quietly work on Lauren while Amber shares all of her fantastic knowledge.
So what is Holly doing? So Holly is going to connect to Lauren using applied kinesiology, which is muscle testing. And what is muscle testing? Well, our bodies don't lie. So even if we are stuck up here in our head and we're telling ourselves all of this information, when we can bypass that logical, that ego, and get into the body can tell you whatever it is that you need to know. It's, accessing your body, it's accessing, the energy around you, and even your higher self, to gain answers. And sometimes it's really hard for us, especially if we are wanting to know something, right? For example, I can do a food chart for myself. But on the same time, when you think about it, well, what is going to come up in that food chart? So I'm going to have to get rid of all of my foods, and then you kind of self-sabotage yourself into that process. Or, you may not want to have the traumas and everything come up for you. So then you're kind of blocking it yourself, which is why you hire somebody else. I use different practitioners all the time to bypass my ego and really go into my subconscious to gain the answers that I want to move forward. Otherwise, I wouldn't reach out to people. But at the same time, I'm really holding on to these limiting beliefs, and I'm really holding on to these emotions because I've had them my entire life. So by bypassing that ego and getting the answers to your subconscious, we can then find out, what traumas, what emotions, what stuff are you holding on to? Maybe there's toxins, maybe there's all sorts of other things, which gets more into the body code as to what is going on at the root of it. So she's going ahead and she's finding whatever emotions are blocking Lauren from legalizing her business. And it's as simple as we connect to the energy, and then we do muscle testing. So we go, I'm connected to Lauren. What are the emotions that are coming up that are blocking her from, or resisting her from moving forward in her business? Is it A or B? And then your subconscious guides you by asking simple yes or no questions. It guides you. So is it on, is it on the left? Is it on the right? Is it odd or it's even? Oh, it's even. Is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Oh, it's 4. So then you whittle it down to find out the exact emotion. Once you've identified that emotion, it's literally like bringing it up a bubble in a pond. It brings it up to the surface, and now that emotion that you've identified is just sitting there. And you can find out all sorts of information about it. When did it happen? What age did it happen? Is it tied to some sort of event or trauma? Yes. What event or trauma is that? Sometimes we bring up things from past lives, or we bring up things from inherited. So we want to know deeper. But your subconscious has all that information. All you have to do is ask. And so you bring that emotion up. And then what she's doing right now by clearing it over her governing meridian is to clear that emotion. It sets the intention to communicate to all of the other meridians to release that energy, and then that energy gets transmuted. And really, it's as simple as that. So what else can you ask? Well, you can ask all sorts of different questions to get to the root, right? We're not going surface level, we're going to root. And so we think that, oh, I have a resistance to opening up my business. What is going on in my life right here, right now, that is causing it? Well, there could be things right here, right now in this current time that may be contributing to it. But chances are it's something that you have trapped within your body from a long time ago. It could have been some past from your childhood or your teenage years, or somebody told you that you weren't good enough, or somewhere along the line you've, created this belief that, you're never going to succeed in business, or you're never going to be able to be successful, whether it was in a TV show, or whether it was somebody in your life or family, or, generational. You hold on to these beliefs, and it's a really challenging concept to go, okay, well, this is my thought and I'm thinking it all the time, but a thought is nothing more than a floating piece of information that isn't really yours, it's somebody else's. So it's, clearing all of that stuff from you so that you kind of become a clean slate, essentially. And you're like, okay, so if all of the negative thoughts and stuff is just programming into me that I'm holding on to, well, then what can I think? Well, you can think whatever you want. You can think amazing things. You can be whoever you want to be. Once you clear those limiting beliefs and those emotions, you can be exactly who you want to be and do whatever you want to be and manifest whatever you want to manifest. And, the universe and everything in its power wants you to do that. You just have to clear all the stuff in the way, which is what we're here for, is to go through our life lessons and to learn them and to grow and to find our way back to ourselves. How are you doing over there, Holly?
I'm doing great. And Lauren, I hope you're doing great. I'm expecting, Lauren, that you're going to be like really inspired. And I'm not sure if you have the paperwork done for your legal doings, or if you just have to file it or send it through or click the button that says yes. But I'm thinking that you're going to be able to get this done within the next day or so. So what I found with you, Lauren, that there was something around the age of 12, and whatever that event was, again, the beauty of the emotion code, we don't need to know what the event was. We just know that it probably happened sometime around 12, could have been 11, could have been 13. And the emotions that were residing in you were feelings of pride and guilt. So I released those for you. And it seemed like it was just yours. It was not from somebody else. And then I also released some creative insecurity. A lot of times that is that little nugget that is stopping us. We have all of the details done. We have everything that we know. We're perfectly able to do it. And just not really going through with it. So hopefully by releasing these, it will work for you. And so I know, Lauren, you have been through some emotion codes before, so you're kind of familiar with the processing. Not sure if you felt anything during the session or not, but people, and Amber, I don't know if you talked about processing or.
Not yet.
Okay. So yeah, so processing is just what it sounds like. It's a processing. So for some people, it can go really quickly and you really don't even notice anything. And for other people, you might get hot or tired or feel a burst of energy. Excuse me. And sometimes it can happen very quickly, that you might feel tired for like 15 minutes, and sometimes you have to go take a nap for an hour or two. But it usually, especially with something kind of light, it's just sort of, your energy adjusts and you will feel a little something for a little while, and then suddenly it just dissipates. Lots of times it's not anything that you really even notice.
No. no. And it could, there's a different variety of things that you could. I know that when I'm have people working on me, I feel lighter for sure. That's the one thing that I notice. Two, depending on how deep we go, um, that's when I start to, I'm in bed. Last week I had somebody work on me for, a good, hour, I think it was, and I was in bed at like 6 o'clock. I'm like, oh my goodness, I was so drained because there are huge things going on a energetic level that affects our physical level. And it's not things that we think about, right? We don't think about this, all the different layers of our energy bodies, the mental, the physical, the spiritual. We just think about the things that we can feel and see and our physical body, but they all affect each other interchangeably. And so what happens to, say, your energy body can affect you on a physical level and a spiritual level and a mental level and vice versa. So doing these little mini sessions, chances are the processing are going to be very, because we're just literally taking the icing off of the cake to help you and to demonstrate what it is that we can do. But when you have sessions with us, we go deeper. We, dig into, let's go to the roots. Let's do multiple different roots so that you get, the best experience of really starting to notice those shifts. And we both have complimentary consultations on our page that we ask you to go ahead and book something, so that you bring your little menu that we each have on our page, and you show up and you go through. And the menu is kind of a idea page, essentially,
Mhm.
because it gives you a bunch of different things that we have. It's not extensive. It's just, here's a bunch of different areas that we have both done work in, but it's not, it may not pertain to yours. So if you have something different, absolutely feel free to add it on. But it just gets those ideas generating as to what is wrong in my life where I'm not happy and what do I want to change. And it can all be changed. Anything and everything is possible, and it all can be changed, whether you just have to believe that it can be. And that's really the only thing that we ask, is that, that you believe that and you want something to change.
Yes. And so I think calling it the menu, we usually refer to it as a menu, but calling it an idea page, I think is a really great idea. And I think a lot of times we carry things around with us that we don't even recognize anymore, but just because we're so used to it. And so sometimes it could be something like, people have trouble sleeping, but they just accept the fact that they, might get up to go to the bathroom at midnight and then they can't really fall asleep. So then they read a book for a half an hour or something and maybe do some deep breathing. And then they'll finally wind up going back to sleep at like 3. And then they just consider it their habit, as opposed to realizing that there's probably some sort of negative trapped emotion attached to that. We can release that negative emotion, and then whatever was that trigger to prevent the sleep is gone, and people can start sleeping better, which then makes their whole next day go better. And it's the kind of this upward spiral of improvement, as opposed to the downward spiral of discomfort and problems.
Well, it's true. I mean, when we're sitting here in our life, we accept things. And I remember when I had trouble sleeping, I would accept the fact. And society is like, if you sleep less, you know, and we believe those things, and I'd be like, oh, I only got 4 hours of sleep last night, and I'm still functioning really well. So I guess that's really all we need. Well, no, my body actually needs to heal itself. So no wonder I was stuck in, physical pain and all this other stuff, because my body wasn't doing its job of healing, but I was stubborn and didn't know any better. And then when I started to really work on myself and started having those 7-8 hour sleeps, wow, what a difference in my energy, because it wasn't so ups and down. It was level. I'm like, huh. But then you start listening to other people. Now that you've worked on yourself, you start listening to other people, and they're still in that, well, I didn't get much sleep last night, and then start looking at how much that's affecting. It affects your eating habit. It affects your levels of energy, your positivity, all of this stuff it's affecting just because you didn't have enough sleep. And I know that when my sleep gets changed, like if my little one wakes up in the middle of the night, then it's a disturbed sleep. So then I start feeling groggier the next day. And, where you can just get to the root of whatever it is that is going on and be able to sleep better.
Yeah. Additionally, the part of why you're having the disturbed sleep is also a warning sign for you. It's kind of like the lights going on in your car about it, like time to change your oil or something. And, sometimes we can identify what it is, maybe there, a particular event happened or what have you, you're happily excited about something. Maybe you're going on a trip the next day and you're so excited that it's like, oh, I can hardly wait to leave. So the thing is, though, sometimes even when it's a good thing, that can still sort of get stuck and it'll just trigger that. So now you're really happy about going on a vacation. You go on your vacation and you come home and you're still not sleeping. And because for whatever reason, something got stuck in you. So I think one of the things that, our bodies are just symptoms, and it's always kind of sending us this message. And there's a bit of puzzling and deciphering that we have to go through to try to figure out what it is. Some things we can figure out on our own, and some things we need a system like the emotion code to figure it out.
I never knew that my hip pain that I had for 20 years, the hip itself had healed, but the emotions were causing the pain. I had no idea. And I was blown away when I was able to finally get out of pain that I'd been living in for so long. It's time to stop accepting the things that we don't like about our life and start changing it so that we can, live a happier, healthier life.
Very true. So, Amber, did Lauren have a chance to send any comments back in?
She said, spot on, perfection and success was at the root of it. Samantha says, hi, ladies. She would have liked to volunteer. We are running out of time at this moment, as our show on Mondays is only a half an hour. And like we said, it's, a brief kind of clearing the icing off of the cake and demonstrating what it is that we do. I go live again on Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hold open office hours. So whatever issue you would like to bring to the table, we, try to go a little deeper into it. We bring out the emotion code, we bring out the body code, we bring out whatever comes up that needs to come up is what we do. Otherwise, we are back again next Monday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And for the month of March, we are doing everything about change. So whatever that looks like for you, we welcome it to help you release those emotions that are blocking you and keeping you in that box that we talked about at the beginning.
Very definitely. And so, yes, at this point, I'm just doing the lives with Amber on Mondays. So if you want to catch me, this is where you can do it for the live part. And then when we're talking about change, right now I've got a fairly tight schedule. And so I've decided I'm going to do a focus for March and April, and I'm going to be working on stopping smoking. And so that is a big change, and that can really roll into so many parts of your life. So I have a special stop smoking program, and it's a beautiful combination. I've paired with a hypnotist. And so there's a self-hypnosis part, and then also the emotion code. And it's a dynamic duo, can really make a big difference in your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Whatever we can do to get into that subconscious to change all those beliefs that we are holding on to is pretty powerful. Well, we will see you again next time. Take care of you guys. Have a great week.
Thank you.